Look up in Hong Kong and you'll see something that seems out of place in a modern city. Bamboo balconies jutting from the sides of skyscrapers. These tiny scaffolds are widely used for minor renovations or to install things like air conditioning units on high-rise flats. Bamboo is lighter, dramatically faster to erect and dismantle, and a fraction of the cost of metal. The organic material has a long history in construction and is still the scaffolding of choice for today's efficiency-obsessed Hong Kongers.
我哋而家身後呢一個咧就係香港一個典型嘅一啲舊樓維修嘅工程啦。呢個竹棚咧，如果係用搭棚師傅嚟搭嘅話咧，咁佢大概都係十零個人到，十零個人咧，大概而家佢嗰個高度咧係有成16層樓高嘅。但係如果係用金屬棚架嘅話咧，一個禮拜就係出嚟呢個效果。所以我阿爺都係搭棚，我爸爸就喺香港搭棚，咁我落咗香港咧都係從事棚幫咁嘅。
Since arriving from mainland China, Ho Ping Tak has worked on some of Hong Kong's most iconic structures.
香港比較有地標性嘅一啲建築物啦，包括呢一個會展啦嚇，香港灣仔會展啦中心，咁嗰度我都有份去搭棚啦。甚至乎香港最高個建築物呢一個西九嘅 ICC 咧，我都有份去搭呢一個竹棚。另外咧就喺最新嘅啟德嘅體育園啦，我都有份去喺嗰度搭棚。
Bamboo has long been a vital part of life in China. Its use in scaffolding dates back centuries. This famous Song dynasty painting from about 900 years ago is proof. In the heart of the cityscape, you can see a shop surrounded by bamboo poles. The bamboo scaffold technique is said to have come to Hong Kong about halfway through the 18th century. Its use soared in the mid-1900s, coinciding with the city's explosive urbanization and construction booms.
Hong Kong expands upwards, the only direction where there's room. Western the buildings may be. The scaffolding is decidedly eastern. It's bamboo.
During the golden days of Hong Kong cinema, bamboo structures were also a recurrent fixture in action films like here in God of Gamblers. Today, Hong Kong has far more skyscrapers than any other city in the world. Fueling this vertical growth are armies of scaffold workers. There are over 10,000 registered professionals with the skills needed to shroud an entire building in bamboo in a day or just mere hours.
每次咧有啲外國嗰啲遊客啦嚟到我哋香港啦，見到我哋嗰啲好多啲師傅，哇嚇爬到好似個蜘蛛俠咁樣爬上嗰啲半空裏面搭個棚架，可能咧今朝睇到喺1樓，個晚翻嚟你已經搭到上30樓啦，即係佢覺得好驚訝。
The pay for bamboo scaffolding work depends on experience, varying from 700 Hong Kong dollars to over 1,500 a day.
佢以前咧搭棚工人嗰個薪金咧係成個三行建築行業裏面係最高嘅，依家唔係最高。
Since bamboo scaffolding has largely faded from use in mainland China and is only rarely seen in other parts of Asia, Hong Kong stands nearly alone as the last bastion of the bamboo scaffolding business. The most common type of bamboo construction is double-layered scaffolding reinforced with steel brackets. The structures are held together by plastic lashings.
不過要靠呢一個扭起身，要靠呢個扭住，靠呢個扭住呢一個唔會翻鬆。扭完之後要起多個計出嚟，然後將佢攝過去，將佢拉出嚟。呢個安全網咧搭到呢個棚架之後咧就係呢咁嘅形式，然後再拉翻呢啲網，即係唔會跌嘢出街，就可以作為一個保護嗰啲細嘅碎嘅沙石咧就唔會即係整傷咗或者係妨礙咗出面嗰啲途人。
Since Hong Kong builders prioritize cost and efficiency, and bamboo is one of the world's fastest growing plants, it is a perfect construction material. It is simply far cheaper than steel or aluminium for scaffolding. Bamboo has thick underground roots which can grow quickly. Its internal cell-like structure allows it to withstand compression, making it sturdy yet flexible. Cut into 7-meter pieces and dried for at least 3 months, The poles can typically be used up to 3 times before they begin to warp and weaken. While bamboo does grow in Hong Kong, to meet the industry's fast demand, most of it is imported from the nearby provinces of Guangdong and Guangxi in mainland China. Beyond its use for construction and renovation, bamboo is used to build open-air theaters for cultural and religious events. Each spring, these temporary structures pop up around the city. Many of the workers who build bamboo theaters are the same people who put up scaffolding on construction sites during the rest of the year. But the skills are different, and experts like Lai Chi-ming have a deep passion for the grand, temporary structures they build.
因為我搭一個氣棚，即係我哋做呢啲氣棚咧，我完成咗之後咧，我有滿足感啊！因為我哋竹棚係我哋中國人嘅一個技術啊，係你哋外國人係學唔到嘅。即係任何一樣工種，即係搭棚啊、搭地建築又好，我哋做氣棚又好，我唔希望去淘汰咯。
In March 2025, Hong Kong's Development Bureau announced plans to use metal scaffolding in half of all the new public building construction projects, a significant shift. In a memo, the Bureau said bamboo scaffolds have advantages, but that they also have weaknesses that have given rise to safety concerns. Bamboo is not immune to the elements, and Hong Kong's recurrent tropical storms and typhoons can test the limits of even the most robust structures. The material can also be a fire hazard. In March 2023, a blaze erupted in a skyscraper under construction. In February 2024, 2 workers died after bamboo scaffolding collapsed at a construction site on Hong Kong's former airport runway. In January 2025, 11 workers were injured, several critically, when bamboo scaffolding collapsed at the site of a new hospital. The incident occurred despite the government publishing a revised safety code for bamboo scaffolding just months earlier. Since 2018, there have been 24 fatal accidents linked to bamboo scaffolds. In the memo, the Bureau says it will progressively drive wider adoption of metal scaffolds in public building works. Construction industry representatives and others in favor of using metal say they believe it is safer for workers, as well as more fire-resistant and durable. But the Bamboo Scaffolding Workers Union says accidents are usually the result of poor site safety management, not the scaffolding itself. The government says it does not immediately plan to completely phase out bamboo scaffolds, but some fear that day may come. Thousands of workers in Hong Kong would be affected if bamboo scaffolding were phased out. But at this construction work training center, people are still learning to become spiders.
由你所做個經驗累積出嚟係點樣運用嘅啫，所以而家咧有啲年輕人咧就中意用嗰啲科技嘅嘢，就唔中意做呢啲太過辛苦。基本上就唔係辛苦，係主要係日曬雨淋嘅啫。但係個工種咧就後生嘅好多都唔願入行。
But for some, the job has appeal.
就我覺得好神奇啊！我學，所以咧，我一路做入行嚟以嚟咧，我一路學緊，一路得唔同嘅地方、唔同課習啊！真係開始初入行係好為高㗎，因為覺得一身棚咧就係靠幾個篾仔都可以紮幾十層啊！你可以睇到我哋香港啲好多文化，雖然我係新來港人士，但係我一嚟咧，我都感覺到啲氣棚啊，啲竹棚唔止係就係出邊大樓棚啊嘛，維修棚啊嘛，仲有啲氣棚啊。仲有啲嗰啲花牌棚啊！今日我一行到嗰度入路口嗰度，幾時吸引咗我覺得好神奇啊！佢哋可以就係搭啲好靚嘅棚出嚟啊嘛！其實我覺得真係好中意，你中意呢啲棚，我自己都影低，自己翻去慢慢睇嘅。
The bamboo theater building technique was officially recognized on Hong Kong's list of intangible cultural heritage in 2017 for its significant cultural value. Like Hong Kong's iconic neon signs, which have been gradually phased out due to safety concerns, bamboo is more than just a feat of engineering. It is a symbol of Hong Kong's identity. Some Hong Kongers are passionate about preserving bamboo scaffolding as a cultural symbol of the city.
We are inside my art installation. So this is my bamboo art installation. I really think that bamboo is a very traditional materials in Hong Kong, representing the construction industry. And more importantly, this is this circular material. The bamboos come from different festivals. I love bamboo because it's really sustainable.
Hong Kong now stands at a crossroads. Will its iconic bamboo scaffolding become a relic of the past? Or will this symbol of efficiency and cultural pride keep its place in the city's landscape for generations to come?
點解話唔擔心香港嘅竹棚會俾佢取代呢？因為香港實際嘅環境呢，係暫時都係非常之需要呢個金屬呢個竹棚嘅。點解呢？首先喺嗰個錢銀上面呢，係好多市民都可以負擔得到啊。金屬棚架佢嗰個成本呢，係竹棚嘅差唔多，起碼有成3倍嗰個錢。覺得一啲傳承我哋嘅傳統嗰個文化啦，亦都我哋引以為豪嘅，係引以為驕傲嘅，代表我哋香港個建築行業。
Bamboo is one of the first materials on my drawing board. I advocate green buildings and also the green material. How can we adopt bamboo into modern architectural projects?
The debate around bamboo scaffolding's safety versus its cultural value will continue. But its story is a reminder that progress can be about finding new ways for heritage and innovation to coexist.
This is what you get for a $4 Hong Kong ride in Hong Kong. Skyscrapers, Victoria Harbour, at the same time. National Geographic calls this 10-minute journey one of the 50 places of a lifetime. Sailing for over a century since 1898, Star Ferry has endured storms to become an icon of Hong Kong. It carried on after the 1966 Star Ferry riots, survived World War II service disruptions, and in 2020, a pandemic hit, threatening to sink the company entirely.
疫情差得好緊要啦，忐忑就係人冇晒啦。
咁天星嗰陣時嘅管理層咧就曾經即係私底下俾個電話我，佢哋話有個 intention 唔做。
A few years later, Star Ferry seems to be back on track. But can Hong Kong keep it shining? It all started with a cook. In the 1880s, Parsi merchant Dorabji Nauroji Mitaiwala acquired a steamboat just to ferry his bread. But he soon found a business opportunity in transporting passengers and established the Kowloon Ferry Company in 1888. 10 years later, businessman Sir Kachik Paul Chater bought all the company's boats and renamed it Star Ferry Company. His company, the Wharf Holdings, has been its owner ever since.
我叫阿輝，喺呢度天星小輪已經超過咗20年㗎啦，就擔當個水手職位。因為咧，我哋係輪班工作嘅，咁咧最早咧就係返6點15分。最夜嘅就收12點鐘。我哋如果早上開工嘅時候咧，多數都係咧，我哋檢查，即係望下呢啲個狀況係點樣啦，咁咪喐下，因為咧我哋係雙向啊嘛，咁我哋要喐下去啦。譬如有咩損位就即刻報告俾船長聽，即係叫人落嚟維修咯，係咁樣嘅。咁啊同埋咧就係檢查啲纜會唔會有啲係破損嘅，咁我哋先做咗嗰個程序先，就唔使等話。有乘客喺度載客嘅時候，我哋先走去做咯。
There have been 4 generations of ferries, starting off with single-deck wooden rowboats in the 1880s to the present-day double-deck fleets that have been in use since 1956. The Star Ferry was the main way people got across the Victoria Harbour in Hong Kong until the Cross Harbour Tunnel opened in 1972. The ferry's white and green colors represent the sky and sea, meaning the ferry brings them together. Currently, there are 8 vessels running across the Victoria Harbour on 2 routes, from Tsim Sha Tsui to Central or Wan Chai. Reclamation on both sides of the harbour has reduced the journey to a mere 7 to 8 minutes.
嗱，呢個係我哋個救命銅鐘嚟嘅，每隻船都有一個嘅，係註明佢係幾多年份，同埋咧我哋譬如有人墮海咧，我哋咧多數咧就響呢個鐘，咁啊嗱，俾啲聲你聽。咁我哋砰咁，即係話俾個船長聽啊！我哋會有人墮海或者有咩意外咁樣咧，就喺呢個鐘，咁啊就大家會清晰啊。第一樣嘢入職咧，一定要識游水，最好你有拯溺牌啊各方面嘅嘢啦。因為你救人嗰陣時咧，係唔係話我哋幾個人一齊跳落去救啊嘛？係一個人有輔助件俾你去救人啊嘛。其實都好好笑嘅，有冇響14、15年前啦，有個南亞咧就南亞裔嘅先生喺7月幾嗰陣時咧就我哋車緊過去灣仔渡輪嗰陣時咧，佢就熱得滯，跳咗落海。當其時我哋唔知嘅，佢跳咗落海，咁我哋咧即係要急嘅救佢翻上嚟噶嘛。咁啊水警又嚟埋啦，海事處又嚟埋啦，就問佢咩事原因跳，佢就係咁樣答啦。我熱得滯想跳落海游下水啫，即係激到我哋咧，真係山蝦咁跳真係。
While Phi navigates the daily currents, the Star Ferry has also sailed through some of Hong Kong's most turbulent historical waters. These were moments that resonated deeply with Alan Cheung, a man dedicated to capturing these chapters.
首先咧喺香港，因為60幾年嗰時未有隧道噶嘛，隧道係1972年先有嘅，咁所以60年代中嗰陣時咧，都係要由香港過九龍或者九龍過香港咧，都要靠搭船嘅。而天星咧就肩負咗呢個重任啦。當年咧就係因為天星就加斗零，你知咩叫斗零啊？5仙。咁啊而家你感覺5仙好少意思啫，但係1960幾年5仙係好可以食個半個早餐嘅。咁咧就其中有一個好年青嘅，就係叫蘇守忠。咁佢咧就係反對呢樣嘢，咁啊點咧？佢一個人就着件 T 恤喺後邊寫住反對天星加價5仙，就咁咧就企喺中環嗰個天星碼頭，咁啊着住件 jacket 就俾記者影到相之後，咁啊變咗大新聞咯。
After 3 days of unrest, the 1966 riot ended with the imposition of a curfew and the deployment of British troops. Stories like these are preserved and remembered by Cheung, who began pursuing his passion for Hong Kong's transportation in 1988. His collection is so complete that even Star Ferry collaborated with him to publish postcards for its anniversaries. Cheung even had a say in picking the design of the current Central Pier.
因為佢哋天星係就喺慶祝100週年之前咧，我已經同佢哋嘅管理層都接觸嘅。咁同埋佢哋有啲咩 promotion 啊，或者啲宣傳嘅嘢咧，都同我合作。咁就係用我嘅圖片去做佢哋嘅宣傳嘅 article 嗰啲成咯。而家現時嗰個中環碼頭嗰個外形啊，咁當時我都有份 invited to discuss select 邊一個，咁我就 show 我啲藏品啦，俾佢哋揀，即係好 classic 咯呢個，係咪？咁所以變咗當時大家有個共識都話，將來嘅天星碼頭用呢個啦咁，佢唔係叫天星碼頭，係叫做中環碼頭。
The earliest pier was only a simple thatched structure located near Connaught Road off Icehouse Street. It was moved to Edinburgh Place in 1957. In 2006, a government plan to demolish Queen's Pier and Central Star Ferry Pier sparked mass protests. The proposal was to make way for a reclamation project to build the central Wan Chai bypass tunnel. The Star Ferry Pier had to move from Edinburgh Place to its current location on November 12, 2006. The new location was 500 meters further out on reclaimed land.
嗰個情形好墟冚啦，因為嗰陣時咧就報道嗰方面咧唔係咁確鑿啊，以為我哋天星小輪執笠啊嘛，好多人好唔捨得咁樣 我諗嗰一日淨係我自己都影咗過千張相啦。我直情下晝已經喺嗰個天星嗰度徘徊㗎啦，好似同個朋友或者告別咁咯，即係直情拜拜，sayonara，即係點解咧？真真正正，因為呢度已經決定咗係 move 去前邊啊嘛，因為佢要填海啊，咁所以變咗同一個老朋友，真係老朋友呢個超過100年告別咯，心情係好即係好沉重下嘅。我諗超過30人以為係個碼頭，即係以為天星小輪係冇咗嘅，因為我哋每一渡船咧嗰陣時咧就揾2隻大船啦，就每一隻船可以載成即係600幾700人嘅，咁度度都爆嘅，有啲真係攬住啲水手哥哥啊喊㗎，影相嗰陣時話好唔捨得點嘅，呢個係真事嚟嘅。
Doesn't matter how much you're sentimental about, you know. Hong Kong keeps growing. It has to. Give and take. That's what it's Hong Kong about, isn't it?
A virus brought the world to a standstill.
We are facing a very dire situation.
The COVID-19 pandemic hit Hong Kong and the Star Ferry like a tsunami. The company was on the brink of closure. In 2021, daily passenger numbers plummeted to fewer than 27,000.
疫情差得好緊要啦！疫情嗰陣時咧，我哋咧平均用2隻船就已經搞掂晒啦。有陣時差到咧，即係朝頭早，因為冇人翻工啊嘛，咁啊得翻1、2個客啊咁樣咯。但係我哋都堅持啦，堅持咁樣做落去。
In 2022, Hong Kong's railway system, the MTR, officially opened a new link connecting Sha Tin in the eastern New Territories to Central. While Hong Kongers were given more options to travel across the harbour, the Star Ferry faced even tougher competition for passengers.
嗰陣時 Covid， 你知啦 ，Covid 就所有都停，即係全世界都停擺晒啦。咁天星嗰陣時嘅管理層咧就曾經即係私底下俾個電話我，佢哋話有個 intention。做，我話唔好啦，唔會掛乜啊咁咯。點解咧？因為蝕錢啊。點解會蝕啊？梗係冇人搭啊嘛。加上你個地鐵嗰度差唔多通晒咁滯啦。咁佢哋有個 worry 就係話做唔落，即係要蝕。我再三強調一樣嘢就係話，呢件超過今年已經係超過120幾年㗎啦，130年上啦。咁你能夠屹立到咁耐係好難得㗎嘛。所以變咗成個管理層都係好樂意繼續 keep 住呢件 treasure 咯，都幾忐忑㗎。點講咧？喺呢度做咧，大家都會有個感情線喺度啦。另外一樣嘢咧就係話咧，我哋天星小輪咧絕對係唔會話倒閉啊各方面嘅嘢。即係好多人外間就話哇，你咁樣點維持咩？咁我哋都有政府嘅補貼啊各方面嘅嘢。即係嬲尾好翻之後咧，就好多乘客都嚟翻啦，同埋即係啲遊客咧又多翻咧，就 OK 咯。
While the Star Ferry is no longer the only mode of transportation connecting Kowloon and Hong Kong Island, it has grown to become something more for the city, beloved by both tourists and Hong Kongers.
It's amazing. When I was here 23 years ago, it's not this good. I mean, it improves a lot. And it's huge. It's modern, and there's a lot of people like going out and in from Chim Sa Choi and Hong Kong side. Our friends here is they've been here only for the first time, and they're so excited to get in the Star Ferry. It's beautiful. It's amazing now. I haven't seen this for so long, and I'm so happy that I was part of it.
我自己由土生土長嘅香港人，咁其實佢陪住我大咯，都係一個標誌嚟嘅，因為香港係一個維港嘅一個關口啦，咁變咗天星小輪係真係好快，其實講緊係幾分鐘嘅時間就可以從港島區去到尖沙咀，咁我覺得都除咗天星小輪、叮叮，即係我諗呢一啲都係我哋嘅童年回憶，亦都係好代表到香港。
更加特別添，因為點解咧？全部你照我講都全部陸上嘅，即係行軌啊或者成行碌嘅，唯獨佢行喺個海度漂嘅。 同埋佢本身啲遊客根本上唔係話真係當一個交通工具嘅，係一個遊覽性質嘅。一坐上去之後，就喺呢度欣賞一沿岸兩邊嘅風光，呢個咪一種享受嚟嘅。
早上咧望日出咧就冇咁靚嘅，但望日落咧，嗱喺呢啲位置咧望係最正噶啦。點解咧？因為咧我哋個太陽喺嗰邊慢慢降落去咧，嗰啲色彩啊各方面係完全唔同嘅。但係咧時間咧流逝嘅話咧，我哋一車完過去咧，翻轉頭咧已經可能冇咗一橛噶啦，因為會係咁樣。即係如果響船嘅話，不論你係響行灣仔線或者行中環線，都係呢個位置最好嘅，望嗰邊。
小輪對於你嚟講係一樣點樣嘅
回憶？非常好嘅回憶。
If you're on the hunt for toys in Hong Kong, this is what you're likely to find. Before other places took over the role of world's toy factory, this label and playthings like these were a lot more common in the city. Toys that once looked like this are a rare find these days.
Hello， 我想問有冇香港舊式嘅飛行棋或者係鬥獸棋或者係嗰啲波子棋？
你只係紙盒嘅？
係紙盒嘅。紙盒嘅
而家已經唔出㗎啦。
咁而家有啲咩咧？
波子棋係啊，呢款嘅而家膠嘅。咁你飛行棋咧就，如果紙盒嘅咧就呢隻有隻真係呢隻都好古老㗎咯喎，呢隻飛行棋都係古老㗎啦。鬥獸棋啊，康樂棋啊，最 basic 嘅呢個啦。呢個都好耐以前嗰個竹籤㗎。我細個玩呢啲啦，玩咩？仲有玩嗰個找嗰啲畫詞嗰啲咧，嗰啲沙巴嗰啲咧，唔係沙巴嚟㗎，係嗰啲自己用米整嗰啲啊。
Miss So is not the only one who remains nostalgic about these childhood toys. The owner of a Shaokewan toy shop renowned for its rare finds reminisces about his first toys.
即係見到買唔到、擁有唔到，就會喺做嘢嘅工作時候賺到錢，或者第一桶金之後買翻晒。我係一個例子，係啦，我係讀書時冇得玩，翻學冇零用錢，係啦，我直接出嚟做嘢，我係買翻晒。而第一次買嘅玩具係車仔，而最多屋企係亦都係車仔。
Raymond's shop consigns toys for other collectors, and some made in Hong Kong toys are on display.
應該叫做50年代尾，有個馬克思嘅美國人嚟香港設廠。咁而當其時香港嘅玩具第一件應該係西瓜波。香港製造嘅話，其實都係響80年前，即係79、80、81、82、83、84、85，主要就係寫翻佢 Made in Hong Kong 嗰個字咧。有啲咧就係寫 Empire， 呢個就嚟自一間鋪頭嘅貨尾啦。佢有一代而家已經去80幾歲啦，跟住仲有啲主要代工啦。香港當其時嘅穿梭機已經好聞名啦，而家當然唔係啦。
These artifacts are a reminder of a time when Hong Kong was the world's largest toy manufacturer. But how did such a small territory become the world's toy manufacturing giant? The story began in the aftermath of World War II. Hong Kong, a British colony at the time, was then mainly a commercial outpost between China and the West. But following the Communist Party's victory in the Chinese Civil War, trade was drastically reduced. Although the situation was dire, Hong Kong had several advantages that it would leverage to become an export-driven economy. Capital and investments from industrialists, hundreds of thousands of workers who fled the Civil War, and a major Western market. These laid the foundation for Hong Kong's industry. Factories in the city's Kwun Tong and Kwai Chung districts employed thousands of workers, producing textiles, electronics, and, of course, toys for export.
The two industries that really built Hong Kong was garments and toys. And everybody else learned as they went along. We learned from the Americans. We learned from the English. That's where we learned first.
Western manufacturers, including Toy King Louis Marx or Mattel, established their first factories in Hong Kong. From there, a first generation of toy manufacturers emerged. Gardner's father, for example, founded the Plastic Manufacturing Corporation and designed several innovative and iconic toys.
We succeeded because we had our own product line, and he was creative. For that time, we were in the right place at the right time.
The breakthrough came at the 1968 Nuremberg Toy Fair in Germany, the world's largest annual toy fair.
If you wanted to sell, this was a great place to show your product. Nuremberg did not want Hong Kong. They would not allow us into the fairgrounds. If you had a vehicle with wheels, you can park it as long as you fed the meter. So there was a caravan, like a container truck, that they used for safari, TDC did, in Africa. And they took it to Nuremberg. We had 6 booths.
Buyers took notice, and from there, Made in Hong Kong toys achieved global renown as orders poured in from around the world. Their success in Nuremberg paved the way for other local manufacturers to enter the toy market.
In that generation, we grab opportunity because we have to survive. We have to make a living. So whatever they can make a living, we grab it and ride on it. The driving force is that our desire, that generation's desire is to improve the living. Whenever there's an opportunity, we grab it and develop.
But their quest was a difficult one. Factories operated 24/7, while employees were often asked to work overtime. Salaries were as low as 2.5 Hong Kong dollars to 6 Hong Kong dollars a day in the late 1950s.
Wages were low. Compared to what it is today, it was ridiculously low. From what I remember, the injection department would do a 24-hour shift. And I didn't want to live in an apartment. I decided I can just live above the factory. We had a penthouse up there.
And in a span of just a decade, Hong Kong transformed into a toy manufacturing giant, overtaking Germany as the world's second largest toy manufacturer in 1964. 8 years later, it would surpass Japan to become the world's leading toy producer.
The toy industry made a big contribution to Hong Kong and to wherever it goes. In Hong Kong, I think we provide a lot of jobs, safety jobs, and we provide a lot of quality product, safe product, education product, and provide to the customers, and keep the children happy, educated, and safe. So bring them fun. So the toy industry help Hong Kong feed a lot of mouth.
But as Hong Kong's toy industry reached its peak, it faced new challenges. As salary rates increased amid a manpower shortage, manufacturing became too expensive in Hong Kong. And just as the toy industry was in danger of losing everything it had built over the years, the winds of reform from Beijing would blow in another direction. After decades of limited trade with the West, China's paramount leader Deng Xiaoping kick-started reforms in 1978, gradually opening China to the world. Selected cities would be allowed to foster foreign investment and inject much-needed capital to develop the country's fledgling consumer economy.
係進行呢個經濟改革開放，咁其實相對嘅廉價勞動力啦，我哋有多啲嘅地方啦、土地成本啦減低啦，咁其實所以香港玩具商咧就都會希望係可以將佢哋嘅生產線北移嘅當時，咁生產規模咧當然可以起碼擴張5至到20倍不等啦。
Hong Kong toy magnates would start moving operations north to neighboring Guangdong province.
It was very good for the industry, for the Chinese, because most of the factories could go back to their villages and they had their relatives and then they knew how to operate and labor was much cheaper. Everything was so much cheaper. We couldn't produce in Hong Kong anymore.
Starting small, toy factories would soon grow into huge factories.
We have to start brand new in a sense. You have to tell everyone, every worker, what you want, how to do it. It's like training a brand new team. When we start, we come to this place where the commune secretary clean up a fish farm, build a so-called factory next to the fish pond, and the factory is in the shed, and the toilet is right above the fish farm. That's how it started.
Today, it's one of several sprawling complexes that employs thousands of workers.
咁亦都據香港嘅呢個貿易發展局嘅資料咧，其實喺2010年咧，內地咧係差唔多有6000個香港玩具嘅生產商嘅。咁大部分都係一啲我哋嘅沿海嘅省市啦。咁亦都估計咧有4000個咁上下嘅玩具生產嘅廠咧，就係設於呢個廣東省，大部分咧都係港資嘅廠嚟嘅。
With factories moving north, toy manufacturers kept their office headquarters in Hong Kong. And while Hong Kong may no longer be a one-stop toy manufacturing hub, it has moved up the value chain by coming up with original designs. Today's must-have toy item, Labubu, was created by Hong Kong-born artist Ka Sing Long. Hong Kong brand Hot Toys Collectibles holds licenses for brands such as Marvel, DC Comics and Star Wars, and designs high-quality toy figures.
而家香港玩具業咧，去到一個叫做有個新嘅浪潮。而家有好多香港製造或者唔係香港製造，淨係香港設計同 market 咧，其實有好多咧係香港本土嘅公司。
The toy industry has helped the city's economic growth and shaped Hong Kong as we know it today, bringing joy to countless toy lovers, young and old alike.
Hong Kong, Chungking Mansions. It's one of the best places for travel vloggers in Hong Kong to make clickbait videos.
Hell on earth in this mafia mansion.
It's served as the romantic backdrop for one of Wong Kar-wai's most famous films. It's full of danger and crime. At least that's what some local kids hear from their parents. Or is it simply the most misunderstood building in Hong Kong?
Welcome to Chungking Mansions. Come on in.
Almost every week, Jeffrey Andrews hosts a tour of Chungking Mansions for tourists, schools, local companies, and organizations.
So this is where we usually welcome our participants and ask them how many of you have been to Chungking Mansions. Usually a lot of people will say no. And I always like to joke that you don't need a visa to come into Chungking Mansions. I also like to call this the international border of Chungking Mansions because a lot of local Chinese don't like to cross this line. They like to exchange money and run out.
Andrews is the third generation of an Indian family that came to Hong Kong in the 1960s. He has been working as a social worker in Chungking Mansion for over 16 years.
I always like to say Chungking Mansions is in the heart of Hong Kong, or if not Kowloon at least. It's right next to the harbour. You've got the mosque nearby, and we're right in the middle of Nathan Road, one of the most popular streets in Hong Kong. But then suddenly you have this kind of low-end economic space, and I think that's what makes it so unique.
Indeed, Chungking Mansions doesn't feel like anywhere else in Hong Kong. Inside, you're hard-pressed to see any signs in Chinese. You also don't hear as much Cantonese. Instead, you hear conversations in many other Asian or African languages at the turn of every corner.
It's a mini United Nations, literally, and I know personally from my experience, over 100 nationalities congregate in this space. Festivals are celebrated here. People from all walks of life, all backgrounds are here. If you want to buy something that's from your religion, you can find it. If you want to eat a curry, you can eat it. If you want to eat fufu, you can eat it. If you want to buy rubber shoes, bafanyu, old school shoes, you could go and get that in one of these shops here. It's a mini city in itself.
Oh, just amazing. Simply awesome.
Made up of 5 blocks of 17-story buildings, the complex was developed by Filipino-Chinese businessman Jamie Chua Tianpo. Completed in 1961, it was marketed as a luxury residential building for all. A year later, the 2-floor shopping arcade, which is what most people know as Chungking Mansions, opened. So, in a city where over 91% of the population is ethnic Chinese, how did Chungking Mansions become a haven for Hong Kong's ethnic minorities?
$10, thanks. Now, is this very spicy or not? Spicy. I don't want too spicy. What's the least spicy you can give me? This is, to speak a little bit academically, a center of the global south in Hong Kong. Many people think of Hong Kong as being international in Central or in Lam Kwai Fong, but I think this is the most international place in Hong Kong.
Anthropology professor Gordon Matthews began researching Chungking Mansions in 2006. He would visit the building almost every week, sometimes spending the night in one of its hundreds of guest houses. Matthews published his book about Chungking Mansions in 2011, referring to the building as the ghetto at the center of the world.
The building opened up in 1962 and was falling apart by the early 1970s. GIs on rest and relief from Vietnam came here, and I understand there were a number of brothels in this building. By the early 80s, you had a bigger South Asian population here. But more than that, this became the center of the hippie travel circuit. Tony Wheeler wrote Lonely Planet, Southeast Asia on a shoestring. This is what he talked about. When you come to Hong Kong, Chungking Mansions. And so the number of guest houses mushroomed. And all kinds of people doing the backpacking, they came through here. By the late 1990s, it shifted again. And it became more a place where South Asians, but also Africans, were here to engage in low-end globalization.
Low-end globalization was one of the biggest findings in Matthews' research. He discovered that Chungking Mansions was at one point a major trading post between factories in China and individual traders in Africa and other developing countries.
High-end globalization is the globalization of big companies. Apple, Samsung, and so on. Low-end globalization is more the globalization of just a few individuals who don't have a formal company. They're trading, often not completely following the law. In other words, dealing in copy goods sometimes. Not always. Most of what they do is legal, but sometimes it's not. The trade out of Africa, out of South Asia, very often is low-end globalization.
Hong Kong has often been considered a more international friendly place to do business than mainland China. Traders would first come to Chungking Mansions and buy cheap goods like clothing and electronics that were made in China, and then bring them back to their home countries, often in their luggage. One product was particularly popular at the time. Matthews estimated that between 2007 and 2008, at least 20% of mobile phones sold in sub-Saharan African countries had at one point passed through Chungking Mansions.
Many of these phones were 14-day phones, which were used European phones coming here. Many were copies, a lot of Chinese copies. They were very important. And this was pre-smartphone. It's very easy to make copies of pre-smartphones. Once smartphones became more widely used, it's harder to make copies. Also, Chinese real phones got better. So the copy phone market began to shrink. The phone market as a whole here began to shrink because many traders could go into China instead. In the 90s and early 2000s, it was hard to get into China to do trade. By about 2008, it was becoming a lot easier, and a lot of traders went there instead of paying a middleman in Hong Kong.
As a result, Chungking Mansions was no longer the trading hub it used to be. Many trading businesses had closed, and most shops today are ethnic stores and restaurants. But Chungking Mansions is still a hub for ethnic minority people to congregate and make a living when they come to Hong Kong.
I came to Hong Kong 1999. Similar face, similar language, India, Pakistan, Nepal. That's why I like the Chungking Mansion.
重慶大廈咧，我1984年讀完書咧，出嚟幫爸爸手啦。咁啊，差唔多41年嘅啦喺重慶大廈。重慶大廈啲人都好好啊，同邊個都會打招呼咯。我哋香港人又好，外國人好，中國人又好，佢嚟到呢度行街，我哋都會同佢哋打招呼，同人問佢哋係咪食嘢，乜嘢都會問嘅。
I actually heard about Chungking Mansion back in Ghana even before I came here, and I'm able to speak my language when I come to Chungking Mansion because I see some Ghanaians that we can speak Chi, that is the popular Ghanaian language, and I get the taste of home when I come here. Yes.
With people from different races, cultures, and religions in such close proximity, conflict might seem inevitable. But Matthew says that because Chungking Mansions is so incredibly diverse, it can actually make a person much more tolerant and understanding about the cultures of others.
Some of the stories here are really amazing and telling. Many of the people here, particularly back then, were from India and Pakistan. They were Muslim, and they weren't used to the idea of seeing young women dressed in an unclothed way. One story that I remember vividly was in 2006 when I was first here, seeing a number of young Russian women here. And maybe they were sex workers from Macau, I'm not sure. And a waiter in a cafe downstairs put his hand over my eyes and said, "Mister, do not look, they are bad women." And I went back a month later to the same cafe, the same women were walking by, and the waiter didn't put his hands over my eyes. And I said, "Mukhtar, why aren't you covering my eyes? Those are bad women, aren't they?" And he said, "Mister, they have to make a living just as I have to make a living." And so he learned that Chungking Mansions is a place of business. You don't make any judgments about anybody, which is very interesting. That's what Chungking Mansions does. Live and let live. That's the Chungking Mansions ethos. And that's what he learned judging from that story.
Though people from around the world see Chungking Mansions as a second home, others who don't know much about the building, other than the common stereotypes, think otherwise. To them, it is a place synonymous with crime and disaster. Since the blocks are crammed with guest houses, fires have not come as much of a surprise. And from time to time, Chungking Mansions even saw scandals, including murders and sexual assaults, which were plastered all over the news. While crimes do occur in Chungking Mansions, Matthew says the crime rate was actually not particularly high compared to some other neighborhoods in Hong Kong.
When I wrote my book, I think the most dominant form of illegality was probably asylum seekers working. And they work for lower wages than people outside this building. They make it possible to have restaurants run here and guest houses run here. Now, are there drug dealers here? Yeah. Can you buy dangerous drugs? Yeah, you probably can. But that's simply because the dealers come here rather than because that's the essence of Chungking Mansions. I think they need to think about their own racial attitudes, because a lot of this is racism. It's white and yellow people afraid of black and brown people. Now that's too directly put. Don't criticize me for this, but that's what it is, really. It's not dangerous in any great criminal sense.
In order to stem the negative press, the building's management made changes to ramp up security. In 2004, they installed hundreds of CCTV cameras on every floor and stairwell. And in the past decades, the building has undergone multiple renovations. Guest houses in Chungking Mansions can cost as little as 200 Hong Kong dollars per night in summer, which is about 1/5 of Hong Kong's average room rate. And with over 200 affordable guest houses and dozens of ethnic shops and restaurants, Chungking Mansions is now one of Hong Kong's most unique attractions, bringing in tourists from every corner of the world. But social worker Andrew says it is still an ongoing mission to change many people's minds about the place.
It's still a lot of Hong Kong people are still worried to come into Chungking Mansions. I must say more and more people are coming in, but to be honest, I was also ashamed myself my first year working here. I had stigma on this building because our community within Hong Kong also has stigma on this building. So I understand, and it took me time to break through that. How? By running these tours and engaging in conversation and seeing they are everyday Hong Kongers. Now I need to do the same thing for the local Hong Kong public. Everyone used to have their head down. Now when I run the tours, you can see they also have pride. Like, people want to know about us, want to hear about us.
It's like biting out of a mango.
Just fresh and cool.
In 2025, the NGO Christian Action opened a diversity hub on the top floor within the complex. The gallery celebrates the contributions and achievements that ethnic minority people have made in Hong Kong. It's also a space for various communities to host meetings and gatherings. What both Matthews and Andrew say they have observed over the years, both in and outside Chungking mansions, is that society overall is becoming more open to accepting ethnic minority people as real Hong Kongers.
I think the biggest thing you can learn is something that happened during the protests. So I can tell you a story about this. I taught my class here in Chungking Mansions, and a Kenyan man came up to a localist and said, "Can I be a Hong Konger? I love Hong Kong." And the localist said, "Of course, we love people like you." Then a Pakistani came up and said, "Can I be a Hong Konger?" He said, "Of course, we love people like you." But a mainland student came up and said, "Can I be a Hong Konger?" And he looked down, he wouldn't answer. Now, that's racist. That shouldn't be. Everybody should be able to become a Hong Konger. But there is a really interesting shift that this indicates, that it used to be back 20 years ago that people like South Asians and Africans would not be considered Hong Kongers. Now they can be. And mainlanders too, I hope, because they're obviously a deep part of Hong Kong. But having said that, the South Asians and Africans can be seen as Hong Kongers.
I mean, if you ask me now, a lot more people call me Hengongyan right away without having to explain myself. And I'm like, wow, what a change. And I truly believe Chungking was part of that change. People come in, they do their tours, they go through our cultural sensitivity training. They also realize that the ethnic others are also Hong Kongers. As much as people are immigrating outside, I still think there's a lot of Hong Kongers here that remain and want Hong Kong to be truly international, and I think they believe Chungking Mansions plays that part in that.
Ready, go! He's the one everyone calls Gogo, or Big Brother in Cantonese. His boundary-breaking work on stage and screen helps cement Hong Kong's status as a global cultural powerhouse. Leslie Cheung rose to fame during Cantopop's golden era in the 1980s. Cheung found massive success as a singer and an actor. He was perhaps better known for his film roles, including an exuberant young policeman. A playboy in the 1920s, the bird without legs, a broker for assassins, and the rebellious homosexual Ho Po Wing.
歌星張國榮，歌星張國榮，歌星張國榮，晚上由中環一間酒店高處墮下。
News of Cheung's suicide on April 1st, 2003 shocked fans in Hong Kong and around the world. But 22 years on, his popularity remains very much alive and his fan base continues to grow.
佢真係成就咗個傳奇。
話出咗世之後佢都死咗，我其實想聽佢一次嘅演唱會啊！
我永遠都係張國榮迷。
Long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile.
This was the beginning of a superstar's rise. Leslie Cheung Kwok Wing was born in 1956 in Kowloon, the youngest son of an established Hong Kong tailor. At age 12, he was sent to study in England. Cheung said he never saw himself pursuing a career in show business before he returned to Hong Kong in 1976.
我覺得前路茫茫咯，又唔知自己做咩。嗰陣時翻到嚟得19歲啫嘛。咁然後咧就試過喺跑馬地賣過鞋啦。係啊，賣鞋800蚊個月。咁然後咧就近時開始有夾民歌嗰啲 band 咧，咁然後佢就話喂麗的電視有報名參加喎咁。
Cheung placed second in the 1977 Asian Music Contest with his rendition of Don McLean's American Pie. His debut album, Daydreamin', hit store shelves the following year, but failed to achieve commercial success.
張國榮所以變咗俾人嘅覺得係成日都唔係咁順利咯，初初，而去到風貴樂隊真係開始出現一啲轉變啦。
Things started to turn around when Cheung signed with record label Capital Artists in 1982. His former manager, Florence Chan, remembers the start of their decades-long bond.
咁我記得喺1981年我成立咗呢個唱片部之後咧，我就有一次咧就同阿李香琴啦琴姐咧就去食晚飯。一入門口咧，我就見到阿張榮一個人坐喺度食飯。咁所以咧我就請阿琴姐咧就出去介紹咗我俾阿張榮識啦。咁跟住我就好直接咁講咧，我就我哋華星啱啱成立咗個唱片部，有冇興趣入嚟即係唱片公司嗰度簽俾我哋啊咁佢就話好啊咁。
The first album Cheung released under Capital Artists marked a rebirth of his music career. Its titular song, The Wind Blows On, adapted from Last Song for You by renowned Japanese singer Momoe Yamaguchi, became an instant hit in 1983. The following year saw Cheung's rise to mass stardom, with Monica becoming a household hit. The song introduced a new upbeat, dance-oriented style to cantopop.
Thanks, Monica 呢首歌一出咧，我諗記得佢成個香港啊，我諗當時我都係10幾歲啫，咁就係所以嗰時成個香港嘅年輕嘅歌迷都會跟住佢唱 Thanks Monica 啦，做埋佢嘅動作啦，咁所以我可以令到佢真係可以話變成一個超級巨星啦。
Cheung held his first concerts at the Hong Kong Coliseum in 1985, performing 10 shows, then a record for a Hong Kong singer's debut concert run. He also found success overseas with his second Mandarin album, Admiration, selling over 300,000 copies in South Korea.
愛慕之前當然有一個我諗係好重要嘅就係英雄本色啦，佢哋同發哥又可以產生咗另外一種化學作用啦，開啟咗一代嘅香港嘅一種英雄片嘅一種模式啦。英雄本色如果我冇記錯嘅話，喺韓國係好受歡迎咯。咁而當年情首歌又好受歡迎啦，所以我諗有一個咁嘅跨媒體嘅一種化學作用之後，令到佢成為喺韓國好受到當時嘅樂迷或者影迷嘅歡迎啦。86、87到佢已經進入咗個真係巔峰嘅階段咯。當然好快佢就宣布咗唔攞獎啦，退出啦。
其實佢有呢個諗法咧，唔係突然間諗嘅，佢其實就都有傾咗成年時間㗎啦。其實佢唱歌都係一個佢好中意做嘅嘢，只不過佢當時係有想過一啲自由啲嘅生活啦。因為嗰陣時好多狗仔隊啦，咁啊亦都佢唔想佢自己嘅私生活咁多曝光咯，咁所以係有啲壓力。當時佢就有諗過退出。
Cheung's announcement came in September 1989, followed by his farewell concert tour that included a record-breaking 33 shows at the Hong Kong Coliseum.
我唔係一個貪心嘅人，我只係想問嘅就係話，如果有朋友問起你哋80年代香港歌星裏邊有邊幾個，你哋係咁依提下我已經好夠。
Amid cries and screams, Cheung left his microphone on the stage at the last show. For many fans, their love and support endured even after Cheung moved to Canada.
大家都喺度好懷念佢，睇下有乜辦法話俾佢聽，我哋仲係好支持佢嘅。咁所以我哋亦都喺佢生日嘅時候咧，係第一次諗到係賣報紙廣告。咁賣報紙廣告賀佢生日快樂。咁目的其實係想俾人 知道 fans 冇忘記佢嘅，雖然佢退休。
While Cheung had bid farewell to music, his acting career continued to flourish and reach new heights.
其實佢一早出道嘅時候已經有電影啦，可以話多棲㗎啦，譬如喝彩啦、失業生啦，當然仲有後來嘅一個新浪潮電影裏邊一個好重要嘅作品《烈火青春》啦，睇到佢嘅演技係好有潛力咯。佢80年代中期佢開始大紅大紫之後咧，個電影更加令到譬如《英雄本色》裏邊嘅角色一個好正義嘅警察啦，到《倩女幽魂》嘅一個古代嘅一個書生啦，跟住開始唔同嘅角色啦。當然另外一個我覺得不能不提嘅就係《非正傳》裏邊嘅旭仔啦，可以話代表係我哋嗰一代嘅年青人嘅偶像啦，覺得型到不得了啦，一個冇腳嘅雀仔啦。
而家開始我哋就1分鐘嘅朋友。
The persona that Cheung crafted in the Wong Kar-wai film became one of the most iconic bad boy symbols of all time. But he continued to show his on-screen versatility. Hong Kong cinema was a dominant cultural force in Asia back then, and Cheung became one of the city's most prominent faces who fearlessly pushed gender boundaries.
霸王別姬我諗係另外一個好重要嘅一個嘗試啦。
In the role of Cheng Dei-yi, a male who played female parts in Peking opera, Cheung's emotional range on screen ran the gamut.
說的是一輩子，差1年、1個月、1天、1個時辰，都不算一輩子。
People attribute Cheung's exceptional on-screen performances to not only talent, but also to diligence and hard work.
佢特登去北京住咗幾個月咧，就去學嗰啲京劇嘅做手啊，嗰啲所有嘅嘢啊，佢都好俾心機去即係專注去做一件事咯。
我哋曾經上過北京探嗰班啦，咁係真實睇到佢一日淨係食1餐飯，因為佢一上咗妝之後咧，去拖脷係好麻煩，加上着咗嗰套戲服，佢冇辦法去，所以佢索性就唔飲水。佢的而且確係一個好敬業樂業、專業。好對得住演員呢個專業嘅人咯。
Farewell My Concubine remains the only Chinese language film ever to win the Palme d'Or, the top prize at the Cannes Film Festival. Another notable work of Cheung's was the most acclaimed Asian gay film Happy Together.
黎耀輝，不如我哋由頭再嚟過。
春光乍泄啦，係一個可以話一種叫做酷兒嘅情感嘅一套電影啦，佢都願意去嘗試咯。你有嗰個人嘅魅力啦，但係又要有嗰種演技，又願意放低自己嗰種既有嘅形象咯，去嘗試唔同嘅嘢。
Despite taking a hiatus from the stage, Leslie Cheung occasionally performed and composed songs for the films he acted in. They included his composition for the martial arts movie The Bride with White Hair and the renowned song Chase he sang for a gender-bending film He's a Woman, She's a Man.
好多人都喺度揾緊去做呢樣嘢，咁佢都其實有少少心喐喐想做啊，但係佢話出翻嚟，你知又會俾人哋講，佢已經放低咗個包袱。依家如果出嚟，會唔會又俾人講咧？咁其實我話你，如果你要出嚟，你講咩理由都會有人講噶啦。但係我覺得唔需要任何理由咯。你有歌迷有影迷，希望可以睇到你，佢哋就係你付出最大嘅理由。
In 1995, Cheung officially returned with a collection from his film soundtracks. A year later, he released what's perhaps his most critically acclaimed album, Red. The album's sophisticated fusion sound was a huge step forward from the standard cantopop music of the 1980s.
我覺得佢復出之後又係另外一個巔峰咯，可以話。其實呢個巔峰同以前有啲唔同嘅地方，就係佢個形象啦，佢嘅歌曲嘅風格啦，甚至佢一啲跨性別嘅一啲實驗啦，又可以帶動到佢個事業去另外一個高峰咯。香港電影啊，香港流行曲開始個動力下降嘅時候，佢會嘗試做唔同嘅嘢啦，係有唔同嘅實驗啦。
Cheung invited the sought-after French designer Jean-Paul Gaultier to make his costumes for his 2000 Passion Tour. It was the first time Gaultier agreed to design for an Asian artist. With androgynous outfits, Cheung transformed from angel to devil, challenging social norms of the time.
尤其張國榮係一個靚仔、風度翩翩嘅歌手。咁如果佢用嗰種女裝或者長頭髮咁出現咧，甚至長頭髮之餘，但係佢亦都會有一啲比較陽光味嘅，譬如有鬚根嘅有，所以啲跨性別嘅一啲展現有好多比較保守嘅歌迷係唔可以接受咯。
秋天該很好，你若尚在場。
過咗若干年之後再睇翻，就睇到當然佢哋可以嗰種前衞啦。佢已經可以話即係話係超越咗佢自己嘅時代咯，咁先至可以令到嗰個流行文化係會有一個我哋當時都唔可以想像到嘅一種突破。
The duet with his longtime friend and collaborator Anita Mui was Cheung's last performance on stage.
張國榮係喺夜晚嘅6:41喺干諾道中一間酒店。
Less than a year later, on April 1st, 2003, Cheung, who had been suffering from severe depression, jumped to his death. The news devastated his legions of friends and fans.
佢曾經告別嗰時講過嘛，佢喺最風光嘅時候離開，傷心嘅係你哋，係啊，傷心嘅係我哋。
Cheung first got the nickname Gogo, or Big Brother, from fellow actress Joey Wong on a film set. He was soon affectionately referred to by that name by his peers as well as fans. Throughout his career, he lived up to that brotherly reputation as an avid philanthropist. In 1996, Cheung donated $1 million Hong Kong dollars and launched a set of red cards to help raise money for the Children's Cancer Fund.
由第一場到而家即係第20場咧，已經籌到60幾萬。
呢幅畫咧就叫做《從未遠離》。當年我哋又做咗一隻歌去紀念佢嘅，咁嗰隻歌個歌名亦都係呢一個 portrait 嘅名啦。
Now, 22 years on, Cheung's works continue to inspire people around the world. Every year on April 1st and his birthday, September 12th, fans gather to pay tribute to the star. In Shanghai, a fan who has admired Cheung for 35 years set up this place for other fans to commemorate their idol.
这么多年来，还有那么多人喜欢他，那就是因为他的艺术生命力非常的隽永，他的艺术的理念，包括他对艺术的追求是很超前的，他的影响力也非常之大。亚洲地区，甚至于在国际的影响力，也是在整个华人圈子当中应该是不可复制的。
A similar cafe established by fans can also be found on the outskirts of Seoul. Recent years have seen the rise of post-Leslie era fans. The term refers to fans who've come to admire Cheung only after his passing.
我是那个2003年4.1之后成为了一名荣迷。他工作时候的那个认真的态度，对完美的追求，还有他一直勇于突破的勇气，直到今天，我觉得就一直都在激励着香港新一代的创作者，不停地向前进。
越了解越不一樣嗰個人格魅力、人品性。
出年咧 ，Leslie 咧就70歲忌神啦，咁我哋都好希望可以搞個活動，可以令到呢啲 bands 可以再聚埋一齊咯。好多謝佢哋去記得張國榮咯，呢個亦都係張國榮講過，佢想大家記得佢。
我希望你哋永遠都會記得我，因為每一晚你哋俾我嘅掌聲、歡呼聲，我永遠都會記住。
有了你，即使沉睡了，也在笑。
In Hong Kong, the clock is always ticking. The city has fast-moving crowds, faster trains, and if you go to the right places, you can find food that's faster and better than most restaurants offering fast food.
When you go to Chatantang, you want things fast. It's not fast food, but things should come to you. Everything is simple and it's comforting, it's tasty. Things that you can probably eat every single day.
The humble Chatantang is a Hong Kong institution, a purveyor of the city's comfort food that showcases culinary influences as diverse as the city it calls home. From east to west, sweet to savory, you name it, the Chatantang has it. Today, you can find them in nearly every neighbourhood of Hong Kong, from the crowded streets of Mong Kok to the quiet corners of Mui Wo. But while today the Chatantang is known as a spot for quick and tasty food, it actually got its start as a cheap way for locals to get a taste of the luxury lifestyle of Western elites.
Chatantang to us in the old days, it's a treat where an average family can go and enjoy a Western meal.
Now, about 70 years later, it has become an undeniable part of the city's cultural heritage.
茶餐文化係好代表到香港，成個所謂冰室茶餐文化咧係一個 evolution 喺度變緊，唔係唔變。
This is what the Chatantang used to be. While the term translates into tea restaurant, locals call them Bing Sat, which literally means ice room. The origins of that term date back to the early 20th century, when air conditioning and refrigeration were a luxury that remained exclusive to Western residents. Locals also preferred to drink hot water, following Chinese cultural beliefs that it offered health benefits. But years later, they began to embrace ice, venturing out to Bing Sat to enjoy iced drinks. After World War II, Hong Kong became a fast industrializing city with hundreds of thousands of workers moving in from the mainland. With incomes rising and tastes becoming more adventurous, the working class diet became more influenced by Western culture. And Bing Sat became the cheaper alternative for locals to sample Western food, which they saw as exotic.
其實咧，你睇翻冰室後來即係有一啲食品啦，例如好似三文治啊、麵包啊，或者係一啲通粉啊之類，其實咧佢哋本身都係屬於一啲西方嘅食品嚟嘅。咁但係咧，我哋香港人咧好識創作嘅。即係將一啲食品咧，例如好似我哋廣東人嘅興會加啲湯啊咁樣咯，咁啊變咗火腿湯通粉啦咁樣啦。咁另外就係有一啲嘅麵包咁樣佢可能覺得就係話比較淡味啲，咁啊所以落多啲料咁樣，即係所以有好多唔同嘅麵包出嚟。大家都肯定聽過菠蘿包呢樣嘢啦，其實係一個都係冰室裏邊由西方嘅嘢轉移而成嘅。咁另外一個嘢就係蛋撻啦，蛋撻其實咧本身都係由呢個西方傳入嘅一啲類似葡撻㗎、椰撻啊等等而變化而成嘅。
Bing Sat initially operated under a license that only allowed them to serve light refreshments, no open flames, no elaborate menus. But in the 1960s, the government introduced a restaurant license, giving them options to expand their menus.
一般嚟冰室咧，其實佢攞牌咧，我哋就叫做俗稱就叫細牌，只可以用無火煮食嘅一啲食物咧，先至可以提供。例如好似你多士啊、蛋治啊咁樣咧，咁但係茶餐廳咧就因為佢要提供一啲咧煮食，譬如你煮鐵板燒嘅，或者乾炒牛河嘅，你冇可能即係揾個多士爐去做啦咁樣。如果要設一個廚房嘅，必須要喺當局咧去申請一個所謂俗稱叫大牌，即係屬於一個餐廳嘅牌照咁樣。所以呢個牌照其實咧就都影響咗佢哋嘅名稱嘅。後來啲冰室咧就索性改咗名叫茶餐廳啦，咁樣就係咁解咁樣。
From barbecue pork with spaghetti and soup, black pepper beef with pasta to baked pork chop rice, the Chatantang's uniquely Cantonese takes on Western cuisine didn't just adapt sandwiches and steaks. They even tackled one of the most British of traditions. Afternoon tea at 3:15 p.m, a ritual that Hong Kongers still live by today.
靚嘅奶茶咧就水滾啦，水滾通常咧就焗，即係撞完之後咧焗啦，焗完之後再撞啦。 比較焗佢10零分鐘啦，焗一路滾下去咁樣，跟住有撞茶，撞完茶之後，通常一杯奶茶靚嘅咧入口就好順好滑嘅。通常咧3分奶7分茶啦，正常啦，3分奶7分茶，最標準同埋普通嘅都係咁嘅，除非個別客話茶多奶少奶咁啊。
我要個加口多士。咁你幫我包，可唔可以切入去㗎？可以。到你自己切。
Today, going to a Chachanteng means so much more than the food. It's about the raw, local dining experience that you can only find in Hong Kong. Australia Dairy Company is a beloved Chachanteng in the city. It's famous not just for the food, but also for a very Hong Kong dining experience. Taking your order less than 30 seconds after you're seated, being served by unapologetic waiters, and expecting you to finish your meal in 15 minutes. It's a little intimidating, yet the whole experience is oddly satisfying.
都係一種傳統咯，可能你去到外國啊，或者去到邊度都好，你覺得好好食啊，但係過幾日食幾日之後，你都會想食個茶記嘅早餐或者特餐咁樣咯。
用特色啊，对，你不然在香港难道吃别的国家的菜吗？肯定是茶餐厅啊，态度确实一般般咯。但是无所谓吧，东西好吃就行了，我们不在意这个。
When you go to Chachanteng, you want things fast. You should be finished within an hour or so. I mean, you can stay longer, but this is not one of these cafes where you can sit down, do your homework, and sit over a cappuccino for 3 hours, okay? This is not a Chachanteng. And another thing, very, very common with Chachanteng is you may be sharing a table with someone, okay? Because, it's not a place where it's overly luxurious and private. So just sit down, enjoy yourself, maybe with some company that's yours. Maybe you meet somebody new, but all you want to do is you want to enjoy yourself and eat.
If the traditional Bing Sut and Chachanteng offered unique takes on the city's Western dishes, today's Chachanteng places find inspiration in Hong Kong's Asian communities. It has now become a mini food court featuring global flavors. Curry omurice, Korean ramen, Thai pork neck fried noodles.
依家賣嘅嘢複雜咗好多，以前買啲嘢好簡單，即係我哋入行嗰陣時，淨係早餐就買通粉一樣嘅啫，通粉一樣一個餐嘛，由朝賣到晚㗎啦。但係依家咧就有烏冬啊，有米粉啊、公仔麵啊、意粉啊，呢啲越賣越多咯，多啲唔同嘅品種，呢睇客戶問題咯。如果啲客接受咁咪 OK 咯。
Creativity is not how Michelin-starred chef Alvin Leung interprets Chachanteng cuisine. The Master Chef Canada judge, who specializes in fine dining, believes it should be classic with a personal twist. Building on the traditional baked pork chop rice recipe, Leung decided to elevate flavors by adding pesto and cheese sauce.
I think this is probably the most popular dish in any Chachanteng in Hong Kong. It's got to be the baked pork chop rice. Of course, I must have my version. Okay, my version is the pork is not fried; it's slow braised. So if you quickly want to eat it, you can use a spoon and just scoop it like this. No knife and forks involved. I mean, I'm not trying to make classic better, because classic is a classic, and it's there because it has stood the test of time. I'm just trying to give people a different perspective, okay, a different surprise. Chachanteng is all about creativity. I do not agree with that at all. Why do you need to make it so creative, I mean, look, you're not going to get cold char siu ice cream here, okay? Or you're not going to get, pork chop that's going to, that's going to explode in your mouth, okay? The only thing that's going to be exploding in your mouth is pure comfort, simplicity.
While some eateries are expanding their menus to incorporate new influences, others are dedicated to preserving the traditional taste of the Chachanteng. After 74 years, things look almost the same in Chungking coffee shop. James Law insisted on preserving the soul of Chungking when he took over the shop in 2014.
點解要保留咁多舊嘅嘢咧？即係譬如嗰啲市政事務處啲字越嚟越甩啊，佢個 個電話仲係 dial 嘅，呢啲都係想 keep 下，唔用得已經嚇。但我話都唔俾佢抌。譬如水吧後邊嗰棟磚牆咧，嗰隻紙皮石咧揾唔翻啊！佢當時裝修呢度咧，佢同我講：你俾我拆咗，我裝修費減你20%，因為做得佢好辛苦。佢情願係 start from zero， 你幫我拆晒就做㗎，唔俾嚇。咁呢個即係呢個堅持就係重要，係保留以前嗰個 value， 以前嗰套即係嗰套 value 啊，嗰套歷史啊呢啲嚇，因為你拆咗就冇㗎啦，你揾唔翻，你唔可能重新去做。正如而家好多新開出嚟都叫冰室，但係可能跟住話佢哋嘅招牌出品係酸辣粉，咁我應該要笑啦。可能好好食嘅，但係咁笑咁又叫冰室，點解唔叫酸辣？就咁叫酸辣粉就得啦，係好奇怪嚇。
But as Hong Kong evolves, so does its culinary scene. Whether holding on to traditions or daring to innovate, Chungking culture should not just be about sticking to the past, but embracing the future.
唔好墨守成規，成個所謂冰室茶餐廳文化咧係一個 evolution 喺度變緊，唔係唔變，喺度變緊。問題你係咪變得更加好咧？比以前更加好咧？有冇有進步咧？呢個係好關鍵。你喺變之餘，有冇 keep 翻之前最傳統嘅靈魂咯？成日想講就係而只係為求變而變咁，其實呢個就只係得翻個軀殼嘅啫嚇。
唔同嘅香港人嘅冰室嘅都可能代表唔同嘅嘢嘅，可能對老一輩嚟講咧，其實係一個集體記憶；可能對新嘅年青人嚟講，可能佢覺得一個 creativity 嘅地方咁樣。但係我覺得都唔緊要嘅，每一個年齡嘅層次都可以 enjoy 到喺冰室嗰度有佢嘅有歡樂時光啦。呢個都係好重要嘅，同埋維持嗰個多元性啦，大家都可以尋找到佢哋有興趣嘅嘢咁樣咯。
Because history changes as it progresses, and what is new now will become classic in the future. So I guess in the future, Cha Chan Teng, who knows what they'll be offering? Okay, but what they'll be offering is probably memories of the classic, something that we grow with and something that we're comfortable with through our lives. But of course, generations, people change. Okay, so what's comforting to me or, to a lot of people in Hong Kong now, this offering will change in the future. But what will not change is the offering will be something that we are very comfortable with. This is places where we go to revive memories.